Sometimes it's not the extraordinary events that capture our hearts, but the unexplainable ones that leave us with more questions than answers. Imagine a 2-year-old girl going missing in the dense woods, only to reappear 2 days later under mysterious circumstances. Her loyal dog, who was with her, returns home alone, only to have the child found hours later. What happened during those critical 48 hours? Was it a miracle, a stroke of luck, or something else entirely? Before we dive into this astonishing story that has captured the attention of an entire community, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible stories of survival, resilience, and mystery. Your support helps us continue sharing these powerful tales. Now, let's get into it. It was an ordinary morning in the small, close-knit town of Lebanon Junction, Kentucky. Beth Campbell, a devoted grandmother, was busy preparing breakfast for her 2-year-old granddaughter, Charlee, who had been living with her. Charlee, with her infectious giggles and boundless energy, was Beth's pride and joy. But what began as a typical day quickly spiraled into a living nightmare that would haunt the family and the community for days to come. The morning had started like any other. Charlee had been playing with her toys in the living room while Beth kept an eye on her between chores. But as Beth turned around to call Charlee for breakfast, she was met with an unsettling silence. The toys were scattered, the door slightly ajar, and there was no sign of Charlee or their pit bull, Penny, who was rarely far from the toddler's side. Panic set in immediately. Beth searched the house, calling Charlee's name, her voice growing more frantic with each passing second. But there was no response. The yard, the neighbors' houses, the surrounding streets, Charlee and Penny were nowhere to be found. It was as if they had simply vanished. Within hours, word of Charlee's disappearance spread through the town like wildfire. Lebanon Junction was the kind of place where everyone knew each other, and a missing child was a community crisis. Neighbors dropped everything to help search. The Bullitt County Sheriff's Office swiftly organized a massive search operation, deploying drones, helicopters, and K-9 units. Volunteers, some of whom had never met the Campbells, scoured the dense woods and creeks, hoping to find any trace of the little girl. For nearly 2 days, the search continued. Search teams combed through miles of dense forest, underbrush, and rocky terrain. The woods were unforgiving, with steep hills and hidden ravines that made it difficult for even the most seasoned rescuers to navigate. Each passing hour felt like a lifetime for Beth, who could only watch and pray, her mind racing with worst-case scenarios. Sheriff's deputies interviewed neighbors, hoping someone had seen anything that could lead to Charlee. But no one had. It was as if the earth had swallowed the little girl whole. Beth's heart broke with every passing hour, but she clung to the one thing keeping her hope alive, Penny. If Penny was with Charlee, then maybe, just maybe, her granddaughter had a chance. On the second day of the search, just when hope was beginning to fade, something miraculous happened. Out of the dense woods emerged Penny, panting, dirty, but unharmed. The pit bull had been Charlee's protector since she was born, and her sudden return sent ripples of hope through the search teams. But as Penny wagged her tail and barked, it became clear that Charlee was not with her. Beth's heart sank, but Penny's return sparked new urgency. Was Penny trying to lead them to Charlee? Could she show them where the little girl was hiding? Searchers regrouped, focusing their efforts on the area Penny had emerged from. They brought in additional tracking dogs, hoping to pick up a fresh scent, but as the hours ticked by, they found nothing. Then, just when it seemed like all hope was lost, another miracle occurred. Wayne Brown, a local resident, was sitting in his living room, staring out at the woods behind his house. He had spent the last 2 days praying for Charlee's safe return. Wayne knew all too well the pain of losing someone in the wilderness. His own brother had disappeared as a child, only to be found lifeless miles away. It was a memory that had haunted him for years, and he couldn't bear the thought of another family experiencing the same pain.
My little brother went missing, and he had wandered away from the home, and he had climbed 3 fences. They found him miles away from the house. It was actually my uncle that found him, and he was dead.
Suddenly, something caught his eye. At first, he thought it was a trick of the light, a mere flicker among the trees. But as he squinted, he realized it was real, a tiny figure stumbling through his backyard. He jumped up, heart racing, and ran to the door. There in his backyard was Charlee. She was covered in dirt, her hair tangled with leaves, her eyes wide and disoriented. She was barefoot, dehydrated, and exhausted, but she was alive. Wayne rushed to her, scooping her into his arms. The little girl clung to him, too weak to speak but clearly relieved to be found. Wayne's hands shook as he called 911, his voice breaking with emotion. "I found her," he said. "I've got the baby." The moment Charlee was found, the entire community erupted in relief and joy. Neighbors who had spent sleepless nights searching hugged each other, some collapsing in tears. Beth could hardly believe it when she got the call her granddaughter was alive. Charlee was quickly taken to the hospital, where doctors confirmed that, aside from minor dehydration and scratches, she was unharmed. But the relief quickly gave way to confusion. How had Charlee survived for nearly 2 days in the harsh Kentucky wilderness? How did a toddler navigate dense woods, creeks, and steep terrain without food or water? And perhaps the biggest question of all, why had Penny returned home alone, only for Charlee to show up hours later? Law enforcement officials were equally baffled. The Bullitt County Sheriff's Office launched an investigation retracing Charlee's steps, interviewing neighbors and revisiting search areas. They brought in specialized K-9 units to sniff out any clues, but nothing made sense. Search teams had covered the very area where Charlee had been found, yet she seemed to have appeared out of nowhere. Wayne Brown couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. How did she just show up in my backyard after we've been searching for days? He wondered aloud. It doesn't add up. The area around his property had been thoroughly searched multiple times. So yet there Charlee was, almost as if she had been placed there by an unseen hand. As news of Charlee's miraculous survival spread, so did the theories. Some believed it was nothing short of a miracle, that Penny had somehow kept Charlee safe, only to return home when she knew help was near. The others speculated that perhaps Charlee had been taken by someone and then released when the pressure of the search became too intense. Beth, however, refused to dwell on the mystery. "All I know is that my baby is home," she said, tears streaming down her face. "I don't care how or why, I'm just grateful she's alive." But even as she spoke those words, Beth couldn't ignore the nagging questions in the back of her mind. Could someone have taken Charlee and then panicked when the search teams got too close? Was Penny's return a signal that the dog had been trying to bring help? The community was divided. Some were convinced that there was more to the story than met the eye. Others were content to chalk it up to divine intervention, a miracle in the truest sense. Whatever the truth, one thing was certain: Charlee's story had captured the hearts of millions. In the days that followed, Charlee's story went viral. People from all over the country sent messages of support, donations, and well wishes. Charlee became a symbol of hope, resilience, and the unbreakable bond between a child and her pet. Beth, overwhelmed by the outpouring of love, took to social media to thank everyone who had prayed, searched, and supported them during those agonizing days. But behind the smiles and the celebrations, there remained a sense of unease. Law enforcement continued to investigate, hoping to find answers that would bring closure to this strange case. But the truth, it seemed, was as elusive as the little girl who had disappeared into the woods only to reappear as if by magic. Wayne Brown, the man who found Charlee, reflected on the events with a mix of joy and lingering sorrow. "I'm just glad she's safe," he said, "but I don't think we'll ever really know what happened out there." For as he looked out over the same woods that had hidden Charlee, he couldn't help but wonder if those trees held secrets they would never reveal. If Charlee's incredible story touched your heart, please hit that like button, subscribe to our channel for more gripping stories, and don't forget to leave a comment with your thoughts. Do you believe this was a miracle, or do you think there's more to the story that we may never know? Now let's keep the conversation going, and don't forget to share this video with anyone who believes in the power of hope and resilience. In the end, Charlee Campbell's story is more than just a tale of survival. It's a testament to the power of love, the loyalty of a dog, and the unyielding strength of a community united in hope. Sometimes it's not about finding all the answers, it's about celebrating the miracles, however they come. As Charlee recovers, her story continues to inspire those who believe that even in the darkest woods, there is always a light guiding the way home.